Listen. People suffer a great deal in the hands of false prophets and religious pimps because they failed to know God on a personal level. It led a lot of people to suffer harshly. It led a lot of people into untold suffering in the hands of false prophets and religious pimps. Because they failed to know God on a personal level. They failed to know God on a personal level. Many people have replaced Jesus with their so-called prophet. Many people, the God they see, the God they want to hear from, the God they strive to communicate to and to befriend and to submit to is their prophet. I have no problem with anybody wanting to be a loyal or, to be a loyal servant or follower of any prophet. I have no problem with that. I don't have any single problem with that. But when that mortal man, born of a woman, made of flesh and blood, becomes your God, that's where I have problem with you. When that man becomes the Messiah to you, that's when it becomes a huge problem. You see? Because people failed to know God on a personal level. That's why they suffer so much in the hands of fake pastors, false prophets, religious pimps, P-I-M-P. I'll tell you what I mean when I say religious pimps. Listen to me, people of God. It's important you know who a false prophet is. And I'm going to give you some tips to help you identify a false prophet easily. I'm going to give you some tips, right? How do you know a false prophet, people of God? How do you know a false prophet? A false prophet charges money for services that should be for free. A false prophet charges money for services that should be for free. If you have been charged by any pastor, you have met a false prophet in your life. You have seen a false prophet. They charge money for services that should be free. Now, before I give you some examples, I just want you to know that before Jesus ascended to heaven, he said to his disciples, he called them together. All they that followed him closely, that had his teachings, that walked alongside with Jesus in signs and wonders and miracles, he called them together and he made one thing clear to them, that the gospel is not for sale. The gospel is not for sale. Jesus told them, go into the world, preach the gospel, heal the sick, do wonders and miracles, everything that I have taught you. Help people. Prophesy. He said, freely you receive, freely you must give. Freely you received, freely you must give. Now, why then? So why then are prophets and pastors charging money for spiritual services that should be free of charge? Why? A false prophet charges money for services that should be for free. Go to them for prayer. They will charge you money. They will ask you to pay a certain amount. Anybody that charge money for prayer is a false prophet. And these guys have ravished a lot of people, have ruined a lot of people's finances. They make people sell their inheritance just to receive prayer. They make people get into trouble or fall into trouble with their landlords because they took their rent and give a false prophet for prayer. A lot of people have died because they cannot afford to pay medical bill, because the money they should use for the bills was given to a false prophet. They carry the whole money and give to a false prophet for a prayer so that somebody can be healed, somebody can be restored. They charge money. Everything is about money, 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 money. They prophesy for money. You cannot go to them if you don't pay. You cannot receive a word, so-called word from God. I wonder which God. You cannot receive a word from God through them if you don't pay a fee for one-on-one. These are false prophets. Yes. These are not prophets of God. They are psychics. They are psychics dressed in suit, dressed like the saints. They are psychics. That's why they charge you money. They are no prophets. Impossible. That's one of the signs of a false prophet. How do you know a false prophet? A false prophet violates ladies sexually. They violate ladies sexually. This is so disgusting. It is a false prophet who anoints ladies in their private part for fruit of the womb. It is a false prophet who anoints ladies in their private parts for fruit of the womb. It is a false prophet. It is a false prophet who convinces ladies that to get the demon of spiritual husband out of them, he must have intercourse with them. These are false prophets. Watch where your wife is going for prayers. Watch where your daughters are going for prayers. Do you even know where your sister is going to receive prayer from? What happens to them there? They violate ladies sexually. How do you know a false prophet? A false prophet arranges miracles and prophecies with paid actors prior to their meetings. False prophet arranges miracles and testimonies with paid actors prior to their meetings. Let me tell you, if any prophet comes to your church and does not prophesy accurately to the members of your church, are you hearing me? if you only prophesy to people who are not members of your church, outsiders who just attended the meeting, and these are the people that the prophet prophesied to, not members of your church, he is a false prophet. Ask me how. Listen to me. These guys pay people to attend meetings. They arrange and come with their own people. Then during the service, they will call the names of those people that are not even members of your church. In your presence, they will ask the actors, have I met you before? Do I know you? How did I? All of those things are fraudulent. If I bring a prophet to my church and he wants to prophesy, anyone who can prophesy actually, and they want to prophesy, they should start from the children of the house. I'm telling you. They can prophesy to visitors, so outsiders, people I don't know. But then there should be members of the church whose life I can investigate, whose maybe testimonies I can investigate and know the truth of the matter. These guys, organizers, they arrange, pay people to come and act. A lot of you know of so many of them being exposed. Go deeper, Papa, prophesy. He only wants your money. That's all.